Building the app is not for the faint-hearted. You don't necessarily need to have any programming knowledge, but some experience on how computers work and how things work is desirable. You can't have anyone else do it for you because of the legalities behind it, so you do have to do it yourself. So you have to go through the loop documents, which I will put down in the description box, and educate. That's the first thing you need to do, is educate yourself. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew what I needed to know to start it, but I really didn't. Even being a diabetic for a decade, I still was learning stuff that I didn't realise. But yeah, there's not much I can really do when it comes to that, unless I was going to show you a step-by-step instruction through a laptop as a screen share, because it is so complicated and it is so step-by-step. What I did is I had my loop docs open, so my step-to-step open, and the app builder open, and just did every step as I did it. And the first build that I did was good and it worked, but it was the wrong version, because you need a specific version for the Omnipod. I will try and link that as well down at the bottom. So once the APK, which is the actual app, is built, so somebody else has designed it, you're just following the steps to build it. That then needs to be put onto your phone. So you need to allow from untrusted devices, you know, an app that is not a verified app. And then you have to link that with your Riley link, which will link with your Omnipod. So it creates the loop. The people who have designed the loop and designed the APK they've decided that you have to sort of pass tests in order to use the system, which I do completely understand it, but it is a little bit, a little bit too much in cases. So basically what they do is they make you answer loads of questions. So you have to read a lot of documents. And the questions don't always marry up with the documents, and so there are multiple choice questions, and if you get it wrong you have to wait an hour to go back and make the next suggestions, and some of them seem to be like they're trying to catch you out, and some of them don't really make sense, and so there's a lot of talk about the fact that they're not quite what they need to be. But again, you know, everything is due to change and stuff, and so they'll probably update it and things, but as it currently stood, it was really frustrating because stuff that I thought I knew they were saying was different, and it was quite annoying. But anyway, when you get that done, and that's the objective, I think it was objective 3, you then have to sort of prove that you know what is happening. So you go on what's called an open loop. So the open loop, what that does is it manually tells you, so this is when you're all linked, so it manually tells you that it's suggesting a basal change. So it'll get a notification up and it'll say suggest basal change down to, so for example, it'll see that you're going low and it'll say suggest basal change to 0. So then you will manually accept it and it will change the basal to 0, stop your insulin. And then 5 minutes later it'll have another pop up and it'll say your blood sugar seems to be going back up again, and it'll change it again. So it is quite annoying, and you have to do that, I think it was 7 days. And so that was frustrating, because you can see that the system's working really, really well, but it's continual. And also when you're asleep, it will still give you the suggestions, but if you don't enact them, if you don't act on it, then it will just carry on at whatever standard basal you had already set. So you'll tell it your normal basal. So for me it was 0.55 of a unit, and if I didn't enact a change, it would just revert back to my old my old basal rate. So then after 7 days of doing that, you will then go on a half closed loop. So the half closed loop will just stop you from going low. So it also stops all of the notifications as well, which I thought was a bit silly, because I thought it should still give you notifications you're going high, so you could manually enact it, but it didn't. What it did is it took over the lows, so you could go to bed and give yourself a little bit too much insulin for something and it would stop your basals. You can see it on the graph. Your normal basal will be here and it would say, oh, you're going too low, and it would stop it. Honestly, it was amazing. So I was so excited about that. I think that was about 5 days for doing that. And then I'm now in a fully closed loop. I haven't been using the system long. It's been a couple of days of fully closed loop, and my graph has never been as straight. It is fantastic, fantastic. I am now learning that there are lots of other things that are available, so you can create a temporary target. So my target is between 5.6 and 5.8, and the machine will always try and get me to that. But you can set a temporary target just before you eat. So the temporary target would be 4, for example, and your temporary target would make you go a little bit lower because it's getting ready to give you insulin for your food. Honestly, it's just amazing. It really, really is amazing. Currently, like I say, there are so many things that I haven't worked out. There are so many different things that are going to help me with my control. But right now, it's working flawlessly. I'm sure I'll have problems, but right now I'm really, really chuffed with it. One other thing that I have done is I've linked my my smartwatch, so I can actually go onto the smartwatch and you click onto, and it will give you options. So you could go into the wizard and tell it, I'm going to have a biscuit. And then that will connect to the Riley, and it will give me a calculation. That's the only one thing I have found, is that the Riley does need to be fairly close to you. So I can give myself the insulin, put the Riley next to it, and it will do it. So if I've got it in my pocket, I can just, and I'm working, I can just give myself insulin and think I'm going to eat in 10 minutes. I'll give myself insulin now, and it does it for me. The one thing is that like I say, the battery life. I mean, I am working at home. I do work at home, so it's not too much of an issue for me. But the battery life isn't amazing on well, on anything, to be honest. When you've got the Android phone, it's got running in the background. You know, the Riley Link's constantly on. It's constantly got a green light on it. I don't know if you can see that. And the watch is constantly telling me different things that are going on. So yeah, we're all waiting to see how it all pans out, but currently everything's working as it should be, and we'll see whether or not it's going to make a massive difference when I go back to work and see what happens. But yeah, currently all working fab, and I will keep updating as and when I can.